You ever wake up thinking it's just going to be another quiet morning in paradise, coffee still steaming in your hand, when out of nowhere the world decides to remind you that there are folks who will do anything, absolutely anything, to take what's not theirs? That's how it started for me, standing on the porch of a house I built with my own hands, feeling that red dirt under my boots, when the crunch of tires and the sight of two people in crisp polos and shiny vests came marching up my gravel drive like they owned the place. Clipboards, smug faces, HOA logos, the works. You know what I mean? There's a certain way some people walk when they think the law is already on their side, and man, does it light a fire in you. They handed me a demolition notice. 10 days, they said, to tear down my home, or they'd bring in their own crew and send me the bill. 10 days to erase 5 years of sweat and stubbornness. I'd spent 15 years with the Bureau of Land Management, so I knew every rule, every inch of my property, and every trick in the book. Hell, I helped write half those tricks. But when I saw that map, their amended boundary with its county stamp, I knew right away something reeked. My parcel, suddenly boxed inside their shiny new HOA lines, like it had always belonged to Pine Grove Estates. Thing is, this house was here before their subdivision even had a name, before they'd poured a single fake stone driveway. But now my land, surveyed, deeded, registered, was just a square on some developer's wish list. So, I did what any sane person would do. I locked up, took every deed, every survey, every old topo map, and drove straight to the county recorder's office. Gwen, the kind of public servant who remembers both your name and your dog's name after 10 years, pulled the original records for me. And there it was. My lot, parcel BR 102, had been shifted on the new map. Not an inch or two. They'd moved the boundary right up my hill, swallowing the whole damn thing. Stamped by F. Craig, a name I knew too well. Freddie Craig, former BLM contractor, turned subdivision consultant, notorious for blurring lines when it suited whoever paid him most. Gwen just shook her head. Came through late, no public hearing, all internal sign-offs, she said. I'll tell you, that's not oversight, that's an inside job. The next day, I marched my binder into the office of Jason Epps, the development coordinator who's made a career of looking busy while real damage happens behind his desk. He tried the old passive shuffle. Just a correction, he said. I dropped a stack of documents in front of him, maps highlighted in neon, satellite overlays that didn't lie. You call this a correction? I said. It's a cover-up. When he tried to play dumb about Freddie, I laid out every connection, every donation, every time their names had appeared together in county contracts. He stopped smiling. When I threatened to drop it in the lap of 3 reporters and a retired federal judge, the color drained from his face. That won't be necessary, he said. Not up to you anymore. I answered, walking out with more resolve than ever. You see, it's not paranoia if they're actually out to get you. That night, I set up trail cameras, backed up footage to cloud storage, checked every lock and bolt on the place. But the truth is, I wasn't just fighting for a house. I was fighting for the idea that some lines matter more than others. The next morning, I started digging, cross-referencing land filings, following every name that showed up in campaign donations or contract approvals. That's when I found out Freddie Craig had donated $3,000 to the same commissioner who oversaw zoning. Not illegal, but you could smell the rot through the screen. I sent everything to Danny Salazar, an old friend turned investigative reporter. Within a day, she was at my place with a drone, 2 cameras, and a producer who looked like he hadn't blinked in 3 years. We shot footage, me standing with the binder, her nodding as I walked the boundary and pointed out the survey stakes. Proof, cold and physical, that the HOA's map was a fantasy. I even carved the original lot number into an old oak tree years ago. Still there, still legal. By noon, Danny was grinning. Bulletproof, she said. But you'd be amazed what people will ignore when the lies come stamped by the county. That hit home. That afternoon, I drafted a cease and desist, citing property rights, trespass, fraudulent claims. Then I hand-delivered it. Not by mail, not by lawyer, but right to the HOA Welcome Center. The receptionist tried to smile me off. I set the envelope down hard. You hand this to your president today, I told her, and let her know that the clock just started ticking. Back home, my cameras caught 3 men in vests poking around at the tree line, measuring, muttering, then gone again, but not for long. That evening, a flatbed showed up with a bulldozer, backed by another with an excavator. For men in hard hats, arguing over a tablet. I didn't wait. I marched down there with a copy of the restraining order I'd filed that morning with a sympathetic judge. You cross this line, I told them, and you'll be in front of a judge by sundown. Every inch of this property is under camera surveillance and live streamed to 3 locations, including the sheriff's office. They backed down, but not far, waiting just outside the fence like wolves, engines idling. Yeah, that happened. Here's where the twist comes in. A little detail that almost slipped through the cracks. Years back, Pine Grove had asked to run a temporary water line through the southern tip of my land. Seemed harmless at the time, just a summer bypass, a handshake and a case of cheap beer. No paperwork. Now I find a meter box buried under cedar needles, the flow valve still marked HOA. Turns out they're still using it. Their water, running right through my property. You don't get to threaten a man's house and keep using his land like nothing happened. So I drafted a new notice, trespass and encroachment, 72 hours to withdraw their demolition order, or I cut their supply. This time, the HOA president herself called, voice cold as ice. You don't understand the damage you're causing, Mr. Holt. This is a master plan. She talked about community, about progress, about my house being in the way. I told her, funny, I wasn't invited to your table when you forged those maps. When threats didn't work, she tried bullying, said I'd regret it. Time will tell, I replied. You've got 71 hours now. Later that night, a neighbor, Jason, came by, nervous, said his sister worked admin for the HOA. They're talking about private security, emergency access, acting like they already own your ridge. And Mallory, she's losing it, calling you a squatter, making threats. Board's getting nervous. He said they started collecting phones at meetings, didn't want anything recorded. That set something off in me. Next day, I launched my drone, sent it low and slow over their clubhouse during a meeting. Got audio, the president ranting, vowing to bulldoze my house in the night, calling for vigilante demolition. That's not bluster, that's criminal. With that recording in hand, I went straight to the courthouse, filed it under the ongoing dispute, and sent copies to the prosecutor and every media contact I had. Within hours, the story broke online. Veteran landholder fights HOA land grab with receipts. The news went viral. But then, the real heat hit. Strange SUVs parked down the access road. Motion alerts at dawn. New crews showing up with no logos, setting up barriers, waving fake orders. I confronted them with the binder, the maps, the restraining order. Pack it up, their foreman finally said. And just like that, the trucks left. But the tension, the sense that any second the rug could be pulled out again, that stuck around like a cold draft under the door. Twist number 2, when I started really combing through digital records, GIS overlays, metadata, stuff most people never see. The HOA's submitted map didn't just shift my parcel. It reused digital signatures, copied blocks from old versions, even pasted notary stamps pixel for pixel. I'd seen this kind of lazy forgery back in my BLM days, sloppy enough to catch, but dangerous enough if nobody checked. That's when the email started. Former surveyors, retired lawyers, mapping authorities, all wanting to help, all confirming that what I'd found wasn't just civil fraud, it was criminal. Then the real smoking gun landed in my inbox, a link to drafts of the HOA's plat maps, showing, month by month, how my property got nudged inside their boundary, until, boom, it was theirs on paper. The geodetic signature block, identical across versions. Game over. I sent everything to my lawyer, Grant, bulldog type, former Jack, ready for a fight. He told me, you're looking at a textbook case of fraudulent encroachment. If they forged state maps, it's criminal now. And man, did things move fast after that. State auditors descended on the HOA office. Permit activity frozen. Prosecutor opened an inquiry, treating it as coordinated fraud. News vans parked near my trailhead. Regional and national news picked it up. My case became a banner for homeowners fighting HOAs everywhere. And that's when the pressure broke. The county marshal escorted the HOA president out of her house. Board members resigned, signs came down, and finally, the plat maps were declared null and void. The HOA was dissolved, full shutdown. Turns out, I wasn't the only one targeted. Several neighbors had quietly lost slivers of land over the years. always just enough to avoid a fight, until someone fought back. At the final hearing, the judge, stone-faced, tired, but fair, read out every charge. Falsification, conspiracy, abuse of authority. Mallory, once smug and loud, now shrunk inside her suit, eyes hollow. She took a plea: house arrest, probation, massive fines, and a lifetime ban from any administrative board. The rest of the board scattered, replaced by a state trustee until every deed could be set right. I got damages, enough to cover legal fees, stress, even a little extra for new boundary markers with laser-stamped coordinates. Symbolic, but satisfying. So now, when the sun goes down over my ridge, the only sound is the wind through the pines and the quiet click of the camera as it checks for strangers. My mailbox has a new sign: independent landholder, not subject to any association. Maps verified. Good luck trying. Sometimes hikers stop and ask what happened. I pour them lemonade and tell the short version: that this world isn't run by monsters, just by people who think nobody will ever stand up to them, who believe a line on a map is all it takes to steal your home. And sometimes, all it takes is someone willing to push back and say, not today. But hey, justice is never simple, and some of you are probably thinking, wasn't it a bit much to cut their water? Wasn't it risky to fight this hard? Maybe, maybe not. That's the thing about standing your ground. Someone always thinks you went too far, someone else thinks you didn't go far enough. So what do you think? Was I right to draw my own line in the dirt? Where's the boundary between community and control, between protecting your home and letting someone push you out? Drop a comment below. Let's hear your take. Because if this story proves anything, it's that justice only works when the whole community gets involved.